Hello and welcome back to The Goodness Margin, the place where we find margin for the good things in life. Today I want to talk to you about a minimalism myth that I have recently heard. And I just want to kind of dispel that myth and share with you some truths. But first, if you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel. Hit that bell and you'll be notified when the next video goes live. This minimalism myth is one that I feel has been propelled by social media. We look at these minimalism pages. I have several that I follow, and it seems like everything is perfectly curated and looks brand new and shiny. And that is a myth. Just because you adopt the lifestyle of minimalism does not mean that you need to go into your home and throw everything away and start from scratch. That is absolutely a myth. Or that anyone who is a minimalist must have everything that matches and is perfect and everything is in perfect order. That is a complete myth. Here are some truths. When you own less, you tend to take better care of the things that you have. There are a lot of items that I only own one of, or maybe just one or two, just a few of those items. And so I really need to take care of those things. I don't own that many sweaters. And so I am going to wash my sweaters on cold. I'm going to hang them to dry. I'm going to treat them really well. I've had this particular sweater that I have on for quite a long time, over 5 years. It's one of my favorite sweaters. So I'm not going to wash it in hot water and then throw it in the dryer with towels. I'm going to take good care of it. It's the same thing with just about anything in my home. I'm very careful about what I purchase. And so I take really good care of those things that I do own. The second truth is that minimalists tend to be really intentional about their purchases. And by being really intentional, you're going to think a lot longer about purchases. We're not going to make impulse purchases. And so we're going to make a better choice. I'm going to think about it rather than just impulse buying something and then getting it home and realizing that's not exactly what I wanted. If I do realize that, I'm going to return it. But I'm not making those impulse purchases anymore. In fact, I don't go shopping anymore just to go shopping. I only go to the store if there's something that I need to find. There's a particular thing that I'm looking for. That is the truth about minimalism. And so we're really intentional about our purchases. So we're going to make better choices when we take the time to think about them. The third truth is when you own less, it naturally looks neater and more organized. Think about this. You have a kitchen cabinet and you've got a ton of cups that you're cramming into it. What if you take all of those cups out and you choose only your very favorite ones and then you put them back? It's naturally going to look neater. They don't all need to match, but if they're all neatly put in that space because you don't have that many of them, it's going to naturally look more organized. That's just the truth of minimalism. And the last truth is because I only own the things that I really, really love, my personality is naturally going to be reflected in those things. My sister doesn't necessarily call herself a minimalist, but in this current stage of life, she has a really small closet. She only has the clothes that she really, really loves. She has a bright and vibrant personality, and she has some beautiful clothes. She loves the color fuchsia, and her clothes, even though she doesn't have that many, they reflect her personality, and she has these amazing outfits that show these bright colors in her personality. I love neutrals. My home reflects that. I have neutral furniture and neutral colored walls. That is what I love. My clothes tend to be neutral. By only owning the things we love, we're creating an aesthetic. It's a certain look. Rather than trying to figure out who we are or what our style is, when we're really intentional about focusing on this is what I love, we take the time to think about it, we realize this is my aesthetic. This is the look that I'm going for. And so naturally, I only own the things that I love. And so it's going to be more cohesive because it reflects my personality. So if you're wanting things to look a little bit more cohesive in your life, I have a few tips to share with you. The first tip is what I was just talking about. Focus on those things that you really love. Does that stuff really reflect your personality, or is it just a trend that you think this is something that I need to own because someone on Instagram told me that this is the latest and greatest thing that I must have? Or is it something that you look at and you say, this is me. I love this. And if we take the time to make those choices and only keep the things that we really love, we're going to see a trend develop. And so naturally our homes will look more cohesive. Things will have a certain aesthetic to them that really blends together well. And it's because it's a reflection of who you are. When we first moved in our home, I would go to TJ Maxx. I didn't have any storage bins, and I would go to places like that or Marshall's. and I would buy baskets and bins because they were on sale or they were a great deal. And I found myself having these different colored bins. And then when I would put them on the shelf, I realized I really did not care for the way those looked. Well, I couldn't afford to just throw those away and start from scratch. What I started doing is I started only purchasing white bins. I have some bins from the Container Store I really like. I have some bins from Target that I've purchased, but they're all white. And so what happens in my pantry, everything is white or clear. I have a couple different styles of baskets, but you don't notice that because I've made a decision to only purchase one color of those things. If you want the colors to be a vibrant mix of colors, then make that decision and don't buy neutrals, buy those vibrant colors. But if you're looking for things to look really aesthetically pleasing, choose one color. Maybe it's gray. White is a really simple color to use though, because there's a lot of shades of gray and there's typically only one white. Make that decision going forward. I'm only going to purchase white bins. As I replace things, I'm only going to make it this particular color. And that way things will naturally start to look more cohesive. Another thing that I love about having a lot of the same bins is I can use those bins anywhere in the house. My daughter has white bins in her closet. I have white bins in my linen closet. I use white bins in my bathroom and in my pantry. And so I can wash those out and mix them up as I need to throughout my home, and they all still match the area that they're in. And then the last tip is if you have some things that are mismatched and you're thinking, man, I really wish all of this matched, think about that and remember that. And so save up to purchase all things that match. Two great examples I can think of are our food storage, the things that we put our leftovers in. When we first moved in, we had several things that didn't match and we had lids that didn't match. What I decided to do is I waited and I saved up and I found a fantastic deal at Costco for an entire box of some bins or some little storage containers that I would put my leftovers in. They also could go in the freezer. And I bought an entire box of them. And then I took the rest of my stuff. If it didn't have lids or the lids didn't match, I threw those away. But the ones that had matching lids, I donated those and I started from scratch. But I made an intentional purchase rather than thinking, oh, none of these match, so I'm just going to go to the store and buy like 3 random ones. Wait, take the time to wait until you can replace all of them at once. The same thing with our kitchen towels and washcloths. So many times those may be mismatched and many times those can be really old and they start to kind of smell weird if you've let any of them mildew a little bit. What I do every couple of years when mine start to look pretty ragged, you can actually donate them to a local animal shelter rather than throw them away if they're not good enough to donate elsewhere. And I will purchase an entire set. They're very inexpensive, but everything matches. And so if you want to replace a lot of things and have everything match, just be intentional about it. If you have your kitchen utensils and a lot of them are breaking, rather than just replacing them one at a time, take the time to make a decision of do some research. What are the best utensils that you can get and purchase a set of those. And that way those can all match and go for the look that you're looking for. Being a minimalist saves a lot of money. It has saved me so much money. But of course, if you think I need to replace everything, that is definitely not a cost-effective approach. I have found that minimalism has made me be so much more intentional about my purchases. I love my home now more than I ever have, and it definitely adds margin in my life for the good things.